Welcome back to the shop, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Well, it arrived. It got here in one piece, and I'm really quite excited about it. What is it, you ask? Let me unwrap it here. It is my new lens for my Canon EOS M50. This is a macro lens, and that means it's able to shoot close-ups really well. Here's the face of it. It's got a light ring that's built inside, and you can see how tiny the lens is. But it's designed for really close-up photography. It's a 28mm fixed macro. It has a macro and a super macro setting, and I'm really quite excited to try it out on the camera. It's going to be on the camera that I'm shooting on right now. So for the kind of other shots, you'll have to look at the B-roll to see, just shot on my cell phone, to see how I set it up. But the first rock that I want to try it on is this one right here. It's one that we collected in Oregon, and by we collected I mean we went to the Wasco rock shop in Wasco, Oregon, and collected it off of the back lot, where they've got a whole bunch of rock that is from the China Hollow mine. That's the mine that they operate, and Don was nice enough to meet us there over a holiday weekend. Normally the shop would have probably been closed, but he was nice enough to, on a beautiful sunny day at the end of November, sit there and await us arriving. And when we got there, he had a lot of stories to tell. Very good with kids, and being able to explain the beautiful petrified mud that he mines and sells and polishes and brings out some beautiful things. So what the area is known for is Biggs Picture Jasper, and it is essentially a fossilized mud, but sometimes there are these dendrites that grow in there, and if you cut the layers at just the right angle, and he explains all that, at just the right angle and then polish it, it often looks like a picture. And there's plenty of YouTube videos and articles online. I'll link to a couple of resources down below. If you are in the area, that is, if you're somewhere around Biggs Junction, so that's right on the border of Washington and Oregon, toward the eastern side. If you're in that area, take that little drive south for, make that little detour, and I'm sure you will enjoy yourself. Be sure to call ahead. Make sure they're open. Make sure that somebody's there. It's a labor of love for them, as a lot of these operations are. But this one chunk that we picked out, and we selected a good amount of stone, but I was really intrigued by this particular stone because of all the mineralizations and whatever these swirly things are that created it, all these voids. They all have like this veneer, this blue veneer of crystallization over top of it. Under the hand lens, it looks like blue velvet, and it's really quite pretty, quite striking. So I'm kind of hoping that the pictures will do it justice, and we'll see. It's a trial run with the new lens and figuring out how to do the setup and all of that. While I get that set up, I'll roll in a little bit of footage from our trip down to the rock shop in Wasco. And by the way, if you go down there with the intent of exploring a little bit. We ran out of time, but apparently it was an important stop at one time on the Oregon Trail as the settlers moved out west, and there was a rail stop there. The rail station is still there, a little museum, and a lot of historical information that you can find there about the area. So it's more than just pretty rocks. Now, one thing before I show you that footage is previously when I did some image stacking, Jared from Currently Rockhounding suggested that I use canned air to blow out some of the vugs, some of the voids. I don't have a canned air with me, and it might work better. However, my shop is totally plumbed with compressed air, and so I've got a little bit of an air jet at 100 pounds pressure. Between that and a spray bottle, hopefully I'll be able to get some of that cleaned out satisfactorily enough. I can see there's little grits and little pieces of sand in places, but I'm sure you'll enjoy the pictures, and after we step through the image stacking and look at some of the pictures, perhaps I can tell you what I would do different next time. We'll see you in a moment.
So the one she has had sat there and been frosted and rained on and tumbled down a river, and all the soft rock was broke off the outside to where all there was the agate center. So this is just the agate part of the center.
The agate center part on this one looks like a river met to the ocean. It kind of looks like that.
See how that one filled?
Mm-hmm.
You like that one? Great big one with all the stuff in it?
Yeah.
So we took a piece of this and had it tested, and you can know by the mineral contents, because all of the studies that's been done, that was 15 million years ago that rock was gooey and flowing like that. And then it stopped and got cold and got all the clay on it, and all the jasper was on top of it here.
I see you found a rock. Okay, so here's what my shooting setup looks like. I've got the specimen all ready to go, mounted in a position for the camera, and I've got the back screen where I can select the image view and do some of the manipulation to be able to get a better image, and also see what depth of field I'm taking the pictures at. And what we want to be able to do is take pictures at different depths of field and then run them through the image stacking software to be able to focus stack. That is, to get one image that is all in focus. And you can see the lens has kind of an odd shape with the light ring in front to cast a little bit of light onto the subject. So that's the setup, and I will show you the progression of the slides, the pictures, the focus stack, and then perhaps a couple of other things on this really interesting specimen. We'll probably take a look at some of the areas like right up here, and right now we're focused in on this area, but over on the other side there's some really interesting spots as well. So we'll take 2 or 3 photos or combinations of photos and stack them together and see what we come up with. Okay, I think that turned out extremely well. I'm quite pleased with the images that we got, and yet there's a few things that I would do different next time. So one of the challenges I found was with this particular lens is that of course it's autofocus and it is also auto stabilization, which is nice. But when you set it to manual for manual focus, it is too jittery. In other words, if you try to adjust the focus just a little bit, the whole frame, because you're shooting at such a close proximity, the whole frame gets out of whack. And so what I ended up doing, I'll roll in a little bit of footage here, is I basically selected spots on the LCD screen and lightly tapped them so that it would automatically focus on that area, and hopefully I got the right coverage, because trying to do it manually, adjusting it that way, that just didn't work out. So still, I'm happy with the results. However, how would I fix it for next time? Because I don't want to have to kind of hunt and peck to try to make sure that I cover everything. For microscopes, there are moving stages that are available. In other words, it's a stage setup that you put the slide on, then you've got 2 adjustments to move it in the X and the Y direction. And something similar is out there for machining as well. And so I did a little bit of exploration on my Amazon account, and sure enough, I found this little micro stage, machining stage, that has an X and Y adjustment. And so that's what I'll try next time. I've ordered it. We'll see what happens when it comes. But the idea is this, that I can set up the microscope, place the specimen on top, focus on the first plane that I want to focus on, and then using the adjustment screw, move the specimen toward the camera, or the other way around, move it away from the camera by set increments. And so keeping the camera on manual focus, I can then take the individual slice and not be so haphazard about getting the right image. So that's the plan. We'll try that out next time and see how that goes. But still, I'm really quite tickled with the results. I didn't even use the super macro feature. I've got some other rocks that I want to try that on that has some beautiful tiny crystallization that I discovered under the microscope, and I want to revisit those. I want to clean them a little better. And that's one thing that you'll see in these pictures, even that even with the spray bottle and the air spritz, there's still some debris in there. And I want to try to figure out how can I get rid of those things but not damage the crystal structure. And maybe I'm being too gentle, I don't know. I'll try it on a few pieces that I don't mind ruining to see if maybe a bristle brush or something like that would work better, be more efficient at cleaning that stuff up. But still, we've got a few more videos that are going to deal with some macro photography coming. I've got a bucket full of specimens. I won't put them all into one long video. I'll probably do them as a series of very short videos to just explore the different mineralizations in different localities that we've collected here over the last few months. Of course, it's still winter, so it's all indoor projects for the time being. We did do a little excursion out in the snow the other day, but eventually spring will be here and we'll be able to collect some more and better specimens, and I'll be able to take the camera out in the field and shoot in situ or in place. Because some of the things I just don't want to drag home, right? If I find a road cut and it's got a bunch of crystallization, so often when I watch folks, their videos online, they'll chip it out and they spend a half day chipping it out, and it breaks and cracks on them. And I don't need to store all that stuff at home. If I have one or two small samples that I can refer to later on, or that I want to explore more, that's great. But if I find something neat in the field that I would risk just busting apart with a hammer and chisel, I'd much rather just take some really good images of it and file it that way, because eventually you run out of room, both in the rock garden and in on the shelf in the house. So a couple of projects that are coming up. One of them is we're going to be building a flat lap, and not because it's any cheaper or any better, it's just for the joy of building it. Currently, Rockhounding also had a rock scoop that they featured, and we'll try to build a version of that. I think I found a better handle, so we'll see how that goes. And a couple of other little projects just to make the displaying of the really nice finds a little bit better. A couple of months ago, a friend of mine had salvaged out of the dumpster essentially this cabinet, about 4 by 4 feet and maybe 8 inches deep. And looking at it, it looks like it was somebody's high school project. It's all hand cut, hand planed. The back was just a piece of plywood, but then somebody had taken some ugly red stain over top of it. So I sanded all that off, gave it a clear finish, put a new back on it, but then also provided some slots to put in LED lighting, standard LED lighting, an LED strip, and also a UV strip, so that some of the few items, and I don't have very many, that are UV fluorescent, I'll put on that cabinet, and so when you press a button, you can have that glowing effect in that cabinet. So those are all little projects that I'm going to film snippets of and share with you down the road, but it just gives you an idea of what's coming down the pipe. And until next time, everybody stay safe.